I do not. Oh, okay. She did not. Hey, Kelsey. Yeah. How you do that? Pin video. She would much rather look at Kelsey than me, I'm sure. She's at the, I'm sure she's at Manor House. For those of us who are joining us on Zoom, give us just a few more minutes. We're getting everything organized here at the chamber. Grateful that you guys could be with us today. We don't have necessarily a packed house. If I might just turn the camera so you guys can look at all the. I'm sure everybody loves that phrase "new normal," but this is the new normal that we're dealing with currently. Wesley, can you give me a thumbs up that you can hear me? Excellent. Hello, Todd. You start in about 3 minutes. At least he's honest about it. Okay. Did you see response from my lender? Again, normal. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everybody who's able to join us online, in addition to those few that ventured out to visit us here at the chamber. I'll be honest with you. Any part of this new normal that involves us not being able to see our members as regularly as we'd like is something that I'd prefer to change altogether. But here we are. I appreciate you guys making the effort to be here with us in whatever way that you can and feel comfortable with. For those of you who have been to an accelerated networking luncheon before, obviously this is quite a bit different than our usual setup. What we're going to do today is we're going to kind of flip-flop things. Normally we would do Chamber 101 at the end of the event, or try to mix it in with the accelerated networking luncheon. But we're going to flip-flop it a little bit. I want to cover some things that's taken place here at the chamber that have come up just recently that I want to cover. That's going to be new to both our veteran members as well as those of you who might be new to us. And then at the end, give the folks here in the room an opportunity to introduce themselves. Of course, I think a lot of you know one another, but just have an opportunity to network and use this time for fellowship that has been few and far between here the past few months. So we will certainly do that. Let me just talk quickly about what we're going to cover today. I want to remind everybody about who the chamber is and what we've done. Understandably, we've kind of been on the back burner for a lot of businesses, a lot of our members, because you guys are focused on taking care of your business and what you have to do, and certainly your health and those types of things. But I want to make sure that you know that we're still here to serve you and to serve our members and serve our business community, and that has not subsided in any way. In fact, in a lot of ways, it's really taken off these past few months. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. This is kind of my theme that I have just put the past 6 months behind me, and we're looking forward to a strong finish to 2020. So I don't know if this is a coping mechanism for me, or maybe something that you guys can take back with you too. But let's just use July 1 going forward. And let's make the best of it. We know a lot more today than we knew back on March 15th, for better or worse. But we have more information, and maybe we can take that information and use it to our benefit going forward. So we're going to talk about some new things that we've introduced beginning in July 1st as well. And these are ways that we hope will help sustain and strengthen the Wilson business community. And of course, I want to avail myself to answer any questions, both for those of you in the room and then for those of you who are joining us on Zoom as well. And then again, we'll let the folks in the room make sure that you have an opportunity to network as much as you'd like going forward. So just talk about, again, remind you guys who we are at the Chamber. This is our mission, and it's distilled down to that phrase right there. We're here to build a market where businesses can prosper. We can't operate your business for you. We don't know your business better than you do. Our job here is just to provide you the resources and the opportunities to make the most of the business opportunity that you have in front of you, and to serve as your guide in this market to make sure that we steer you in ways that can best prove successful for you. We have nearly 500 members at the Chamber, of all different types and sizes of businesses, all the way from sole proprietorships all the way up to Fortune 500 companies and everything in between. We have a lot of folks that are competitors with one another. And the whole idea is that a rising tide lifts all boats. So we're here to support each and every one of those members in the best way that we know how. We have a team of dedicated professionals that are here to do just that. We are a nonprofit membership organization. We exist solely on the generosity of our members. We do have a little bit of a different membership model than a lot of places do, where we try to apportion that dues burden fairly across our membership, depending on the size and type of business that you have. But we are supported exclusively by annual dues investments that our members make. We're led by a volunteer board of directors. Todd Anderson with Select Bank is on our board and a member of our executive membership team. Carletha Ward is also on our board. Heather Driver with Copy Pro this year is our chair. She has been dealt a raw hand, to say the least, and hopefully we have an opportunity to make sure that Heather gets to exercise her chair duties stronger than she has the past 6 months. A reminder that we're not a subsidiary, a division, a branch, or anything else of the U.S. or North Carolina Chambers of Commerce. We don't answer to them. We don't walk in lockstep with them. We're getting ready to come up on campaign season for elected offices, and you will receive in the mail a flyer at some point endorsing a candidate from a Chamber of Commerce. I can promise you that will not be from the Wilson Chamber of Commerce. We don't endorse candidates, but the U.S. and North Carolina chambers do. We're members of those organizations, just like you all are members of the Wilson Chamber of Commerce. Just like our chamber doesn't speak for your business, those chambers don't necessarily speak for our business. A lot of times our policies and our positions align, but that board of directors, that volunteer board of directors, those are the ones that make the policy for the Wilson Chamber of Commerce and no one else. Likewise, we're not a unit of government. We don't tax, we don't regulate. We are not the ones who determine what businesses are essential and what businesses are not. That took a lot of education to our business community a few weeks ago, that we were not the ones making those decisions, but we're here to advocate to you, to those government officials, when and if the need arises. For those of you in the room, as you can tell, we've remained open this entire time under certainly modified conditions. Our first priority is the health and safety of our staff, our members, visitors to the chamber. It's onerous. I don't know anybody who enjoys wearing these masks. I certainly don't. But if that means that we keep people healthy and that we get this economy back on track as quickly as possible, that's something that I think all of us should be willing to do. So we're happy to do that, and we just hope and expect that people will respect those things when they come visit us at the chamber. Likewise, because we do depend on membership to sustain our operations and what we're doing here, we are asking folks to continue their membership investments. It's been a difficult ask for us because, frankly, we know how much our businesses are hurting in the community and how their revenue streams have taken a hit. We understand that. We respect that. We're being as compassionate and as accommodating as we can. We have not dropped any members for lack of payment of dues. Because we feel like that plays into our mission to help build a market where businesses can prosper. So if you need a little grace, it's the least that we can do to serve you as our members, to extend that grace to you as much as we can. All right. So all that being said, that's probably old hat for most of you about what we do and how we do it. Let's talk a little bit about how we're entering 2020.5 with kind of a renewed sense of optimism in how we expect to do business going forward. So from a networking standpoint, we have reintroduced our networking events and opportunities here at the Chamber. Starting back in April. We tried to do it again responsibly and safely. This is one example of that. We'll have a Chamber B2B next week as well. You can probably expect us to do similar formatting to this, hybrid, in-person, virtual networking for most things. I'll talk a little bit about how we hope that might change going forward. But again, this is kind of the hand we've been dealt, and we're just going to try to make the most of it. We do have Small Business Month returning, so I want to thank, again, Select Bank and our friends at BB&T, now Truist, and Southern Bank, Crestcom, Providence Bank. They are always very supportive of our small business community. I don't know that a small business community has ever needed any more support than it does right now. So I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but if you can go out and support those local small businesses here in Wilson, I hope you will. We normally have Small Business Month in May, but we've postponed that to August. And on August 4th, we hope, got our fingers crossed, that we'll be able to have our small business banquet where we'll honor Lee Stevenson with Stevenson Millwork as our Small Business Leader of the Year. Finally, I will mention that we still want to do ribbon cuttings. We still want to celebrate those new businesses that might have opened during this time or might have not had an opportunity to celebrate the fact that they're new to our community and our market prior to the crisis. If there's a business out there that wants us to sort of reintroduce them to the Wilson business community, I hope they'll let me know. We'd love to get you guys out there, and we can do it physically distant from one another. We can spread out a little bit, cut a ribbon, and celebrate these small businesses that have been through a lot here lately. We're especially hopeful that we can get a full lineup for our ribbon cutting rodeo, welcoming small businesses at the end of August. So if any of you know of any small businesses that might want to be recognized in that way, it's a lot of fun. It's a great opportunity for us, again, to network with one another, but doing so safely. So we want to be able to do that at any time. So all they have to do is call the office or email me, and we'll get them scheduled. Talk a little bit about our advocacy effort. Obviously, this has been the part of our program of work that has been kind of hyper elevated over the past few months. I will say, when the first executive order asking people to stay at home was issued, the phone here at the Chamber rang more than it did, I think, maybe in the months leading up to that. And so that's where advocacy really kicks in. Answering those questions, being a reliable source of information, and then being able to carry that information that we were hearing from our members back to our elected and appointed officials. They were depending on that every day, especially at the beginning of this crisis. And I was on the phone every single day with our elected officials at the state and federal level, letting them know what this crisis was doing, and more specifically, what the response to the crisis was doing to our small business environment, because those are really two different things. the impact a virus has inside your workspace, if you have somebody who becomes infected and how you respond to that, that's one thing. But if you never have an infection enter your workplace, but you have to deal with the collateral impact that takes place outside of that, um, that's affecting you whether or not anybody in your family or in your workspace ever has a fever or any symptoms or what have you. So we needed to make sure that we communicated that on a local level. I am happy to announce, if you haven't visited it yet, if there was ever a great time to do this, we've redesigned our website so it's more user friendly, a lot more information there for our members to take advantage of. That launched back on July 1st. Kudos to Asia for helping to line that up. In addition to that, we've made it much more transparent about how we calculate dues for our members. Again, it's not fair and appropriate for us to saddle a single proprietor with the same level of dues that we do a company that maybe has 1,000 employees. So what we've done is calibrate that in a way that's much more fair, much more affordable for our members to take advantage of. Most of our members are members of the Chamber of Commerce for less than $45 a month, which the question we now ask prospective members is, what's it costing you not to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce? So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we add value there in just a second. We've updated our COVID-19 resource page. It was daily for the first 8 weeks of this crisis. Now it's a week or every 2 weeks. The information just isn't that new. Again, we've all learned a lot more these past few months about how to cope and how to deal with this crisis than we ever thought we'd need to know. But those resources are still there and still available for our members to access them whenever they need to, if they're looking for information regarding SBA loans or grants or hygiene resources, sanitation resources. They're all located right there on our COVID-19 tab at the top of our homepage. This is not a program of the Chamber of Commerce necessarily, but there is a lot of crossover between the Commerce Foundation and the Wilson Chamber of Commerce. We launched at the Commerce Foundation the My Brother's Keeper Fund a few months ago to generate a little bit of revenue and funds for particularly small businesses that were not allowed to reopen in any form or fashion under the most recent stay-at-home orders. So you're looking at your barber shops, your salons, up until recently, bowling alleys, events spaces. We were able to award over $2,000 in grants to some of those businesses from the Commerce Foundation, due exclusively to the generosity of other businesses and individuals in this community who saw the impact that this virus was having on our local businesses, particularly our small businesses, our sole proprietorships. They just did not have the opportunity to open in any capacity. So very grateful to the team at the Commerce Foundation. The foundation is led by a board of directors, which is the executive committee of the Chamber Board of Directors. So like I said, there's some crossover there. So I also need to credit Mayor Carlton Stevens for sort of suggesting this effort. He came to me early on asking if there was a way for the Chamber or the foundation to help in this regard. And we didn't have a whole lot of time to put it together. We didn't have the benefit of studying how this thing would work, but to be able to inject $2,000, whether, that's a small amount of money, but it matters a lot to those grant recipients who received it. So we'll be making those formal announcements actually next week when those folks will receive their funds. Finally, I'll mention on the advocacy effort, I hope all of you are making mental notes, if not physical notes, of some of the policy concerns that we need to communicate to our elected officials, particularly in an election year like 2020. We have all seen some things, I think, and I hope that have come from the federal and state levels and maybe even local levels that maybe were not as appropriate as we'd all like to see them be. This is our opportunity to have a voice. Again, nearly 500 members, a plurality of workers in this county is who we represent, and we want to be their voice. So if there are particular concerns you see at a policy level that you'd like for us collectively to address, please let me know about those things. Obviously, as we get closer to the end of the year, I'll be polling and surveying our members to find out what those issues are. But if you have anything that's weighing on your mind right now, let me know, and we'll make sure that we get it in front of our board of directors to determine if that's something that we include in our policy agenda going into the new year. Few words on marketing. Again, Asia is recruiting advertisements for our sources directory. As you all know, our sources directory is our annual compilation of members that we distribute throughout the community. It's relied on. I have one in my glove box whenever I'm looking for a contact or a place to eat or what have you. I can lean on that thing. This year's going to be a little bit different in that we want to commemorate the efforts that you all are making to recover from this crisis. So it's important that you be included in this year's edition of the directory. And if you have any questions about that or want to put in an advertisement, give Asia a call. We normally are right now talking about how successful our Wilson Spring Expo was in March, presented by Greenlight. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at that, we've had to postpone it until October 24th. So now it's our Wilson Fall Expo. This may be a blessing in disguise. We don't know. In March, we always have to compete with basketball tournaments and people having spring fever and wanting to get out and go to the beach and do other things. But this year we don't necessarily have all those distractions. So we're hoping it's going to be very successful. Now, we don't have our head buried in the sand either. We know that we're likely still going to be contending with this virus in October. Every week we are discussing internally how we proceed with this in a way that is safe and appropriate. We have every expectation that we're going to move full speed ahead on having it at the fairgrounds in person, and we will be just evaluating and monitoring conditions as we go forward. At a minimum, we're going to be expecting people to wear masks, obviously stay home if you're sick, and we're going to do everything that we can to spread the event out. We got a lot of room out there at the fairgrounds, so I think that's going to be doable. And then finally, we've made a lot of changes. Any of you that have been a part of the chamber now for more than 3 or 4 or 5 years, Todd can certainly attest to this. A lot of things have changed here at the chamber. One of the best changes that I think we've made, and maybe it's only a change in mindset, is that we are flexible and nimble, and we want to serve our members in whatever way is going to provide them value. So if you don't see something that can provide you or your business value that we're doing, all you have to do is ask. Asia is our marketing and events manager, super creative. We are happy to put together a package of ways that we can promote your business or provide you tools and resources to help you be successful in this market, especially in these unusual circumstances that we're dealing with. So I don't want any of our members or any of the businesses in Wilson to see a membership flyer or a brochure or our website and think that's it. That's all the chamber does. Because what we're most proud to be able to do is just provide the unique and calibrated experience that we want all of you to enjoy. So whether it's your business or maybe something for your employees, we want to be able to do that. And I can prove it with some examples that I'm going to show here shortly about different responses we've made to our business community just based on the requests that we've received from members. Let's talk a little bit about education. So many of you are familiar with our Chamber Executive Academy. Tracy is a member of our steering committee. It was formerly known as Dynamic Leadership. Again, just like everyone and everything else, these folks, our most recent class of 2020, really got shortchanged a little bit on their experience, and that is something that I deeply regret. They didn't get to experience the last 3 sessions or complete their community service project. It's particularly upsetting for me because this was an awesome group. Every year we pull together about 15 to 20 mid to senior level professionals in this community and orient them to Wilson. And this group was just phenomenal, eager to serve this community and eager to serve the organizations that employ them. And so I hope they will be able to return next year for the final 3 sessions and be able to experience that with the class of 2021, which we are recruiting right now. So we are still, again, expecting to move forward with the class of 2021. We may have to adjust things a little bit to make sure that we're safe with how we do it. But if you're interested in experiencing this program, and Tracy and Todd has been through it, I encourage you to ask them about it, get their experiences. It's just phenomenal. I don't care if you're from Wilson originally, you've lived here your whole life, or you're brand new to our community. I promise you, learn something, take something back to your professional or personal life that will make you a better leader, and a better employee, and a better citizen of this community. So please look into that. We're still accepting applications through July 31st, and would love to have a full class going into our retreat in September. We also need ambassadors. We got a few ambassadors in this room. The ambassadors are kind of the arms and legs and ears and eyes of the chamber. With a small staff, we can only get out but so much. Not only is this an opportunity for the ambassadors to talk about what the chamber is doing for our Wilson business community, it's also a great way to build a network for themselves. Build a book of clients, book of prospective customers, and just kind of hear how the business community can benefit their own business. And a lot of our ambassadors use that to their advantage. I think we have 7 vacancies left for the ambassadors. Really great group of folks that get together once a month to network and fellowship, but also, again, use their shared experience of chamber membership to build their own book of clients, and get out there and just meet new people in Wilson. For those of you who are podcast listeners, the Chamber has its own podcast called Wilson Means Business. If you are lucky, you will click on an episode that does not include my voice, but you'll hear Asia and Tyler and Rebecca and a lot of great guests throughout Wilson, folks that really have an influence on the Wilson business community. Each episode is only 30 minutes, so you can listen to it while you're eating lunch, or on your way to work, or on your way home from work, or working out at the gym whenever they open. It's just a really good format, and it's fun, and you learn a lot about our community. And sometimes, especially now, we can't get to a chamber meeting, but if you can click on a podcast episode and just kind of hear about the different things that are happening in Wilson, it's just as beneficial as if you were in the room with us. So you can subscribe to that Wilson Means Business podcast wherever you get your podcast. So Google Play, the Apple Store, SoundCloud, iTunes, you name it. We will be returning our public policy series in September. We were supposed to have our second installment, I think, in April. That was Andy Ellen, who's the president of the North Carolina Retail Merchants Association. I would love to get him back in September, and I would love to not have to do it hybrid, where we do a Zoom and in-person thing, but that will just remain to be seen. So I would just say stay tuned for that. We'll be scheduling those later in the year. All right. Now, I promised that we would talk about some new things that's taking place at the chamber, particularly those things that were responses to requests that we've heard from members. The first thing I have to talk about, though, is not necessarily new, but one that's very important. That's First Benefits workers' compensation insurance that's available to you only as chamber members. So as many of you know, if you're a business and you have 2 or more employees in this state, our elected officials in their infinite wisdom requires you to have workers' compensation insurance. So if you're required to do anything, why not do it for the lowest cost possible? And I'm fairly certain that First Benefits through the chamber is the best way to save your business money. We have a number of independent agents who administer First Benefits, so we'll be happy to refer you to those. We've heard of businesses that save as much as 30% on what they thought was a very affordable rate to begin with on their workers' compensation insurance. We have members that pay for their entire dues and then some, just by enrolling in First Benefits workers' compensation insurance. Again, it's only available to chamber members. This is something that we've offered for a long time, so it's not necessarily new. But if it's your first time hearing that you may save as much as 30% of your workers' compensation insurance, it may be new to you. All you have to do is get with Rebecca too in our office. She'll be happy to walk you through what it takes to enroll First Benefits. Now, this is new. So back in 2018, 1 in 15 people were victims of identity theft. What that means is over 50 hours of lost productivity when somebody needs to recover their identity. So we've partnered with Defend ID in enrolling our members in identity theft protection for as little as $3.99 a month. There are family plans, there are business plans, but really an inexpensive way, not just to protect your employees from identity theft, but to protect your business. Security options that they offer. This is becoming an increasingly important topic, cybersecurity, especially now when we're on Zoom meetings and Dropbox and we're doing cloud computing and those types of things. Security is hyper important. So let us know if this is a resource that we can direct to you, because as you can see, if over $17 billion was stolen back in 2018, obviously that number has gone up since then. We don't want any of our members to be included in those numbers. So let us know if we can help enroll you in that. This is a big one, and something that I'm just so happy that Tanya Neville over at Time and Payroll agreed to help partner with the Chamber on. Payroll services, something that most all of us have to use in some form or fashion. This is a local company based right here in Wilson, that if you are a chamber member, they will automatically off the top discount 20% off your payroll service costs. If you have more than one employee ID number, if you have multiple companies, that increases to 25%. They're going to waive most of the initial startup fees. And again, these folks are located right down the street, not some company that has an office based in another state or another country. They'll meet with you individually and get this set up. The chamber is a client. They just do phenomenal work. Again, I can point you to a member that is paying basically 2/3 of their membership just with the savings that they realize with enrolling in Time and Payroll. So if you're doing paper checks or you're not necessarily satisfied with your current payroll services, I'd be more than happy to direct you to Tanya and her team at Time and Payroll. They do excellent work, and that's something that was just rolled out in the past month that we're happy to share with our members. This one actually happened only in the past 2 weeks, and something that I think now more than ever, we can be appreciative to have a local community hospital at Wilson Medical Center that is willing and able to partner with their local business community to offer something like this. It's called our CHAMP program. It stands for Chamber Healthcare Access for Members. And what it does is provides all of our members, their employees, spouses, and dependents, the opportunity to access affordable healthcare right here in Wilson. The way it works is you give us your employees' names. We provide them with a CHAMP card. They present that CHAMP card to one of 3 local clinics. It's a Wilson Primary Care, Wilson New Hope Primary Care, and the Wilson Stantonsburg Clinic, Dr. Perkins down in Stantonsburg. Present them that card, and you'll basically be paying one flat fee to get most of your routine diagnostic exams right there in the office for a very low cost. I can't tell you exactly how much those costs will be. It's going to depend on whether or not you have other insurance coverage or Medicare, Medicaid, those types of things. But it's basically going to be about on par with most copays that you would pay. This is huge. How many of our employees are out there right now, particularly young folks, that don't have any type of healthcare coverage? I need to stress that this is not a replacement for health insurance. If you can get health insurance or you have health insurance, use that. But if you're not able to afford to provide healthcare insurance to your employees, or you have employees that don't have health insurance, what a great way, what a great benefit to be able to provide your employees with a basic level of care where they can build a relationship with a physician, get a baseline understanding of their current health conditions, and be able to see a doctor whenever they need to without the risk of running up a huge amount of medical debt and being fearful for going to the doctor. So Mark Holyoke, the CEO of the hospital, I can't say enough about him and his team and how responsive they were, especially in the midst of a pandemic, to agree to offer this to our members. More than happy to talk to anybody about this. It's just a phenomenal opportunity for members to pay, you know, a modest membership fee to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And before you have your first ribbon cutting or attend your first Zoom meeting or come to an accelerated networking luncheon, to be able to provide your employees and their family with some level of security and comfort when it comes to healthcare is just great. Wilson, for a long time, while these metrics are improving, we've not been the healthiest community. We have issues like obesity and heart disease and diabetes that we're contending with. But if we can play some part in improving those health outcomes by providing our members with a resource like this, we're proud and happy to do it. So again, reach out to me or any member of our team if you have questions about that or would like to learn more. And then, gosh, this is the last thing I'll talk about that's relatively new, and it's so new that it's not even available yet. I'm sort of beta testing it right now, but really excited about it, particularly for those retailers or those restaurants that maybe don't have a robust online or e-commerce presence. This is the way it works. So Dosh is an app, pretty well regarded in the App Store and Google Play, where you link your personal credit card to that app. If you shop at a participating merchant, there's cashback rewards that are offered by that merchant. The good thing about participating merchants is that it is a pay per performance opportunity. So you only pay cash back when somebody uses that app to shop at your restaurant or your store or what have you. So there's a lot of our businesses, particularly small retail operations that don't necessarily have an online presence or a way to reach customers beyond a Facebook page or a Twitter page. This is a way to do that. You download the Dosh app. All the participating merchants are right there on your phone. We'll have a discount code that you can download the app with, and they'll give you $1 back as soon as you download the app. So just a great way, I think, for particularly our small businesses who are having a hard time getting people walking through their door right now to be able to promote themselves in a more robust way. So we'll be working on this next week and hopefully be able to launch it sometime here in mid-July. Again, I think a great opportunity for businesses in Wilson to build more of an online presence. So that was a lot. I know I covered a lot. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now just in case any of the folks online are having have any questions. And then open the floor to anybody in here that may have questions. I'll be happy to talk about any of the things that I just covered. Again, I need to thank Executive Personnel Group who sponsored today's lunch. Melanie couldn't be here today, but for those of you in the room, grab some goodies that she's left us. They've been kind of steadfast in supporting us with these events ever since this whole thing got started, so we appreciate them. What questions do you guys have? What can I answer for you? Miss Carletha, and excuse me, I'm going to repeat your question so the folks online can hear you too. So if you didn't hear, Carletha Ward asked if we have any materials that promote some of these new benefits that we're offering through the chamber. The answer is not really. We do have this new website that's redesigned that we're incorporating some of these things into that design, and Asia's working on new marketing materials that will run concurrent with, I talked about the sources directory. We'll get that published probably around Labor Day. Probably we'll get that distributed. At the same time, we'll have new marketing pieces, which include all of these new benefits that we're proposing. A part of my reluctance in putting anything on paper as well is that we're still building this library of resources. I want to see them continue to grow, and I think they will. So the only thing I'll say is stay tuned. We'll probably have more benefits that we'll be able to offer to our members. Yeah, it really is, and the impetus behind all of that was that at least for the time being, it's still going to be difficult to get members through the door. Um, Even if we're not regulated in such a way that we're not prohibited from having people in the door, we're still there's still going to be people that have a healthy reluctance of being in a crowd of people, understandably. So what can we do to provide value without needing to be in this building? And that's what's driving us right now. And like I said, hopefully those opportunities will continue as we go. Yes. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, it is. So the question is, what accommodations would we make for any ribbon cuttings that happened now? So what I will tell you is we're expecting the governor to provide updated guidance on July 17th about increasing the amount of people that we're allowed to have in any one space. What I will say is that we will likely not have ribbon cuttings prior to that, but we will be scheduling ribbon cuttings after July 17th. Um, and it's just going to be dependent upon the business that we're doing the ribbon cutting at. For example, if it's a relatively confined space where we can't have more than maybe 10 people, 15 people, we'll determine that at the time that we consult with that member. We'll still do the ribbon cutting, but maybe we'll have a pre-registration process. If it's a place where we can get outside and spread people out, we probably wouldn't have a pre-registration process, but we might inform people when they get there that it's going to be limited to, an exterior event. Um, so that's really not too much different than what we've done before, because what we've always prided ourselves on being able to do is having a unique experience for each one of those members, making sure that they get the most out of that event that's right for them. We've had members in the past that didn't want a huge crowd at their ribbon cutting versus other members that wanted to have every chamber member and their third cousin and their cousin's family to show up to that thing as well. So we'll just have to kind of calibrate it and play it by ear, but absolutely, we're ready to schedule ribbon cuttings right now. So I'll get with you if you want to schedule them. Okay. Yeah. Good. Any other questions in the room? What about online? Anybody have any questions? I'm going to unmute you guys. I should also mention that we're recording this, so um, if any of you want to see it later, if you're happy to, or send it to somebody else, we can do that too. Anybody online have any questions? Wesley or Kelsey? No? Good. Well, what I'm going to do now then is I'm going to stop the Zoom, and thank you guys very much for joining us online, and hopefully we get to see you again in person in the not too distant future. We're open, so come on by whenever or give us a call if we can ever be of service to you. We appreciate your membership. Thank you so much. I'm going to kind of let these folks here in the room network as they'd like. And again, thank you guys for your participation, your membership, and hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
All right, and I'll be seeing you Tuesday for the interview.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wesley. Thank you. Wesley just reminded me. We actually do have a couple of events coming up. So Tuesday, thank you, Wesley. Chamber B2B. We had initially thought about trying to do a hybrid version of that as well. However, we do not have a presenter. We normally have a featured presenter at those events. That event will be strictly networking based. So normally at Chamber B2B, we have 30-second elevator speeches. Those will probably be a minute and 30-second elevator speeches to provide you guys more of an opportunity to talk about your business and yourself. And then on July 23rd, you heard me talk about the Chamber Executive Academy. We're going to recognize those folks that went through that program this year and have a reception here at the Chamber. But I need to caution you all on that event. We fully expect to have the event in person here at the Chamber and be able to recognize those folks accordingly. I think at last count, we had 36 people registered for that event. if you have any reluctance at all about being in a group of that size, we're doing it on the presumption that we're going to be allowed to do it from a regulatory standpoint. If we're allowed to do it, we're going to proceed with it, but totally understand if folks feel uncomfortable with that type of crowd here at the chamber. Obviously, we're going to be encouraging people to wear masks, not encouraging people. We're going to be requiring people to wear masks and be as physically distant as they can. But certainly, it's a new ordeal for everybody. So you'll be seeing more information about that come out for July 23rd. But again, thank you, Wesley. Chamber B2B will be next Tuesday. If we have future Chamber B2Bs that have a featured presentation, we'll do a hybrid version like we're doing today.
But you're interviewing my job camp guys Tuesday too.
I'm also doing, that's right. I'm also doing some mock interviews for Wesley as well. So.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your membership and have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.